Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I am the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network, where we celebrate you and elevated listening. Our show today is the Corner Bookstore, and our topic is one conversation can change your life or your business. We have a super fantastic guest with us today. We'll be bringing him out in just a moment. Before we do, we're going to welcome the star of our show, who I've done in this background in honor of her. She's done such incredible work throughout the years, and she continues to put out amazing content. She is the queen of networking when it comes to meeting someone or introducing someone or starting a collaboration. DIANN FLOYD BOEHM is always a yes. She has brought so many amazing people to this platform. She is a dear friend and someone I truly love and appreciate and respect. Let's bring her out. DIANN FLOYD BOEHM, welcome.
Hi, Dr. Jacalyn. Thank you always for your kind words. I appreciate you so much. And I love the new background, and I'm just so honored and flattered to see all my books there.
I wanted to fit in even more, but I can't get them side, on the diagonal like that. I can't figure that part out yet. So.
That's okay. It's amazing.
So, DIANN, where are you joining us from today? I know you've been traveling.
Yes. So I am in Virginia, and I'll be here for the next 7 weeks. And we've purchased a second home so my husband and I can be close to our first grandchild, which is so exciting. And anyway, so lucky me, right?
Congratulations. Are you in your new home now?
I am. So I have a room that's all about being on your shows and the story garden. And I even have a piano. My daughter surprised me with a piano for Christmas.
Wow, what a great gift. Oh my goodness.
Now I need to learn how to play it.
Well, I actually can introduce you to somebody. How about that? Somebody we had on our show who teaches people how to play the piano virtually. The Piano Man, I think his name is, or the Piano Guy. But today's show is the Corner Bookstore. We're going to be talking about writing and books and opportunity and occasions that can really make or break somebody's day. So before we bring out our guest, D. Scott Smith, motivational listener, I love that. Fantastic. DIANN, tell us a little bit about the journey that you've been on as a writer. You've been very successful, and you see things in your everyday life and you write about them. So tell us more.
Sure. First of all the listeners, if you're even thinking about becoming an author and there's just a story burning inside you, just know you can do it. It took me a long time to be published, but yay, I'm published. And, they always say once it happens, a lot of things happen. And so I'm excited to announce on our show, Dr. Jacalyn, that I have just signed a contract with Norton's Triad Publications, a full-fledged publishing company, not hybrid, full publishing. And it's these 3 incredible women who were all authors who got together and decided to put together a publishing company. And I'm so proud to be with them because, for many reasons, but also besides them being authors, understanding the journey, they have an incredible, amazing group of authors, and they build a family and a community, and the genres that they offer for readers are incredible. And so I'm very proud to announce that I'm now with Norton's Triad Publications, as well as my other two publishers, OC Publishing and Texas Sister Press. So what do you think? You're first to know.
Woo! I wish I had some confetti. Yay! Way to go, Diane. That's awesome. That's amazing.
That just, and again, I'm really not just sharing it because I'm excited, but I want our listeners to know that journey that, like you just stated, Dr. Jacalyn, that just keep plugging away, get your stories out there, and it's going to happen because it did for me.
Well, you are a great role model and example. And we've got somebody backstage who is also an incredible influencer, motivational, not just a listener, but somebody who you really want to watch, you want to watch him and listen to him. So tell us a little bit about D. Scott Smith. You have been interviewed by him, and the interviews I saw, was it 2 or 1?
Two.
Yeah, they're really fantastic. So I was a little nervous thinking that he was coming here today because he's so experienced and talented. So tell us about that opportunity that when you first connected and then where it's gone from there.
Sure, I'll be happy to. First of all, when he contacted me and said he'd be interested in doing an interview with me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and Amazon influencer, I was so nervous. I was like, I don't even know what to say to somebody so important. And he's just so calm. You're about to hear his voice, everyone listening to the show. And he just makes you feel so comfortable and ask questions. It's just sitting down and having coffee or tea with your best friend. And he's so intelligent and he knows so much. And I'm learning from him all the time in so many ways, which we'll all discover together.
Wow. Okay. I don't know. We've got to bring him out right now. He's got Smith. Come on out.
I'm just thinking, where's this great guest? Because I tell you, I'm all embarrassed. I'm blushing here.
I love you.
You guys, I tell you, wow, what a buildup. I'm honored.
Only told the truth.
We have a comment already from somebody over on YouTube, Catherine C. Lang. Hello. Excited to watch D. Scott Smith. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. It's great to have you. She is a great, just a bundle of energy. And so she is a great person to have on there. So, well, awesome. Thank you for letting me come on here and share. And I just want to say, DIANN, congratulations on the house, on the book, and I want to see a picture of that piano wrapped up.
She didn't have it wrapped up. I just walked into the room and went, "Oh my gosh!" But what a thoughtful daughter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yes,
that's great.
Absolutely.
Music is so important. You can see. I didn't do this on purpose. It just, but it's music does things to our brains, right? And there's something very different. I'll say God created music in a way that, I can tell a joke, but later that day, if I start to tell the same joke, you're like, I've heard that one. But we'll be happy to sing the same song 4 or 5 times in the same day, right? I mean, it's unlike anything else, and so healthy for our brain.
It's so true. And you know what I wanted to add to that? We have a show called The Art of Creating Mental Health Wealth, and we have people in who are creatives, they're performers, and they talk about having depression or anxiety and how music really changes them and enables them to express themselves. And our topic today is one conversation can change your business, can change your life. Maybe one song could change someone's disposition or their perspective about something. What are your thoughts about that, Scott?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. There's I don't know if you ever watch, we're a movie family, so we watch movies. So Kevin James and Here Comes the Boom. And, he's got a theme song for that. But then someone steals his theme song, so he's got to get a new one. And Henry Winkler brings up a song from, I forget who it's with now. But anyway, but he just goes, it it just took me through a very dark time. And, you know, that can be really true. I mean, we use music when we want to celebrate, but also when we're in those down moods, music can bring us up, can elevate us, can it affects so many of our senses.
So true. So true. You know, I can think back to maybe a breakup with a boyfriend or my ex-husband and just putting on the same song and singing it over and over. Like some way it was therapeutic. And then hearing it years later thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to hear that song anymore.
Right.
But we do have some more comments. Let me just share them.
Yeah.
We've got Matt. Is it Rouse?
Matt Rouse. He's up in Nova Scotia. And
beautiful
so
area.
Good to see Matt. Yeah.
Thanks for being here, Matt. And Catherine has a follow-up comment. Music changes the sound of your focus.
Interesting.
That's
good
true.
comment.
Yeah, very nice. So, Scott, when you are thinking about the smallest things or a small thing that somebody did that influenced you, maybe it was a hello, maybe it was they asked how are you and actually stood around to find out, right? How many times oh, how are you? Okay, bye. You just keep going. These things can really make or break someone depending on their frame of mind, what they're going on. And I know that you're also a coach in addition to a motivational listener. So tell us how we can embrace kindness and compassion when we are interacting with strangers even.
I'll go back to when I was in college in our college youth group, right, at church. And we don't really realize how important we are in other people's eyes because, you know, we are who we are. And we get up in the morning, we look at the mirror and there I am, and we go off about our day. But there are times when other people look at us and they say, wow, he's a leader, important. There's something about that. And so I'm in this, I go for the very first time to this college youth group, and the guy up front, his name's Dave Pereira. So he's leading this thing and he's talking and sharing and all that stuff. And then at the end, I mean, there's like 50 people in the room, and Dave comes over and he starts talking to me. And I'm looking around, I go, you know, there's all the people in this room that are his friends. Why is he talking to me and he's not talking to his friends? And that moment was so important in my life that this person that I saw as a leader up front took the time to talk to me and actually listen. And I love, Dr. Jacalyn, that you focus on elevated listening. And it is that key skill. When you give your undivided attention to somebody, that can change their life.
I love that you said that. Absolutely. Because many of us don't feel listened to. We don't feel heard, and we don't feel safe sharing because we're so used to somebody just giving us a pat answer, or they're on the phone doing something, or they're staring around. And Diann, I just want to defer to you for a second. When I first asked you about the power of listening and how you felt as a listener, what did you share initially?
Oh my goodness, I've taken so many of your excellent courses, but I believe you're referring to that I felt like I was a good listener, but I could always learn more. And that was really, really true. Because I know I'm a good listener when I'm in the classroom, but sometimes when I get out of the classroom, I'm ready to just zip along and do stuff and I need to just concentrate. So
yeah, well, thanks for sharing that, because I think that it also in our relationships, we get into patterns of behavior that are dysfunctional. We don't even realize it, and we think we're really doing a great job at listening. I want to understand motivational listening. Tell us about that, Scott.
Yeah. So it's funny because people will say, oh, isn't that just active listening? And active listening is a great skill, right? Eye contact, restating what the person has said, and all of these clues that say that I'm paying attention to you. But even though we call it active listening, it's actually very passive because you're letting the other person just talk about what they're talking about. But if I want to get to know somebody, if I want to get to know Diann, then I need to be a motivational listener and help guide that conversation. You still use all those active listening skills, but we're very intentional. And this goes back to the brain science of how we connect and what goes on in the brain, and how we learn and how we store information. And so when we are learning things, we use our short-term memory in the prefrontal cortex. Now, as you learn things, as DIANN looks at how to write the book, and I know one of the things that I love about DIANN's books is that she uses the dyslexic font in the books. And it's just one of those things that is in her book. But she wasn't born knowing, oh, I should put this into the book, right? She had to, over time, realize that this was a need and here's a solution. And so I'm going to integrate that into the book. But she can now it just is a part of who she is, and she can just breathe this out. That's because it gets hardwired into the basal ganglia, back part of your brain. And we don't have to think about it. It's very low energy and it's long-term memory. But people forget this. And so as a motivational listener, the goal is for that conversation. So for Dr. Jacalyn, if you and I are having a conversation, my goal is for you to leave that conversation feeling better about yourself than before we started, because I help you uncover these magical things that you know that you weren't born knowing. And I'm reminding you, this is not common knowledge. This is important stuff, and it changes people's lives. So that's the basic foundation.
It sounds like you help people have an epiphany.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and there's these steps in it. So here's the interesting thing. When research says that we daydream between 30 and 50% of our waking hours. And so if we have a 40-minute conversation, I'm daydreaming for 20 minutes of that, which is crazy. But it just means our brains can process so fast, right? You can have a conversation, be fully involved with that person, and still be thinking, oh, what are we going to do for dinner tonight? And what, these different things, where did I park my car? These different things can still fall in, but we're still having a solid conversation, right? But what happens is when something unexpected happens, it focuses your brain. The orbital frontal cortex, which is right behind your eyeballs, causes your brain, it's the error detection, and it causes your brain to focus. So the idea is, if I'm driving down the road, I'm very good at driving a car. I don't need to think about it. I can think, where am I going when I come? Do I want to take this route? What are we going to do this weekend? All these different things. And the squirrel runs out in front of my car, error detection, orbital frontal cortex activates, focuses my brain. I can't think about anything about not squishing the squirrel and not crashing into the cars coming on, right? And so that's a part of the brain that we want to activate when we're getting to know people, when we meet them. And so we want to do something that is a little bit unexpected, but not weird, right? So if and this is the exercise that I recommend that people do. The next time you're at a cashier, when you go into the store and they're going to ask you expected questions, how's your day? Did you find everything you're looking for? You're still daydreaming. You're still thinking about all these things, and you can answer them. Yeah, I did. Everything's fine, right? Now, respond back to them and ask them this question. How's your world? How's your world? Now, they have that's unexpected, because I say, well, how's your day? Oh, my day's fine. Now, how's your world? And they're going to have to interpret it, and watch their face. It will change, because now they're interpreting. They have to say, is my world this check stand? Is it the job? Is it my place in the cosmos? What is my world? And it will open up some remarkable conversations. But you activated the orbital frontal cortex. They cannot think about anything else about that except about that moment. This is hugely important.
Wow, that's powerful.
It's really powerful. I found myself tilting my head.
Because I do when I'm at the checkout, I always respond back to them, how's your day going? But to say, how is your world? That just
Yeah.
opens up a whole new, I am going to do that today.
Completely unexpected, but
Yeah.
not weird, not,
Right.
not odd. But
No.
just an example. So we were down at down in Southern Oregon in Klamath Falls. There's a resort called the Running Y. And so we were down there with the family, and the kids love it because it's got the pool and the hot tub and all this stuff. And so as we're going into the recreation center, there's the person that checks you in, handing out towels. And so she asks all the expected questions. How's your day? Are you enjoying the resort? It's fine. Yes, we are. And so I asked her back, how's your world? Oh my gosh. Her and her husband had moved to Klamath Falls 2 years before. They were just closing on their house that week after 2 years. And so for the rest of the week when we came in, we had something to talk about more than the weather. We
That's
knew each other.
awesome. You knew each other.
And I would think when you ask someone, how's your world, you're not going to get that answer, that stock answer, fine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And fine, there's no information there. There's nowhere to go with that. So I just love that approach.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we use it?
No, in fact, this is one of the things I freely give this to people to say, please, and try it the next time you're in the store, when you run into somebody. And if you meet somebody that's new, you just say, oh, hi, nice to meet you. How's your world? Or what's going on in your world, right? Mm-hmm. It just causes them to have to interpret that and focus. Now, here's the other thing that's really important about the orbital frontal cortex. When you activate that, not only does it cause the brain to focus, but it's also responsible for facial and vocal recognition. So when we meet somebody and we say, how's their world? And they have to focus, we're also imprinting our face and our voice kindly on their brain.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm learning a lot.
I am too. And we've got some comments and questions from the audience. Matt is joining us from Nova Scotia, Canada. Hello again. Catherine has a question. Would you say motivational listening is helping people see and embrace their amazing uniqueness?
Yes, Catherine, you are absolutely right. This is the thing that's important. So like Dr. Jacalyn, I don't know how many shows you do, but if someone were to sit down and go, oh, tell me about live streaming video, you don't need to go to Google or some reference book. You can easily just go, well, you need this and these, and this is the camera, and this is the lighting, and this is how you do the green screen. And they ask you all that stuff. Again, you weren't born knowing that. You went to school, you trial and error, workshops. I mean, there's a lot of investment of time and energy, and it's hardwired into your brain. And again, you can just breathe this out as if it's common knowledge. But I think it was Arthur C. Clarke that said any sufficient level of technology will appear as magic, right? And so it's like, Dr. Jacalyn, she's a magician. She just like pulls this stuff out of nowhere.
Well, that's how I feel about her too.
There's a lot of research, I'll tell you that much. So it continues.
Yes, right? And so now you have that conversation and you go, and now you get to shine the spotlight on that. And I go, wow, your guests are so lucky that they get to work with you because you make all the technology easy. So now we can just have a conversation and not worry about all the things that are not important, right? Microphones, cameras, lights, the software that you use, that's not important. It's necessary, but it's not important. So because you're able to do all this, you make it easy, people come on, and we can focus on these conversations and get to know the most remarkable people in the world.
I love the way you describe that. And it is a true gift, by the way, as you know.
Actually, you both do that with your shows.
I was going to say that's right. Okay, Matt, good advice. Thank you. Maria Eduardo, hello. Thanks for joining us, one of our team members. It's a broad question. Love it. Catherine, if someone answers fine, then I follow up with only fine. Let's work on that.
I like it.
Yeah, I
I
like
like
that
that.
too.
Mm.
Good day, all. Hello again. And Matt, it is a magician, a rabbit and the magician's hat. Very cute. Scott, something that you said I really wanted to go back to for a moment. You talked about the fact that we're daydreaming while we're
Mhm.
listening, right?
Correct.
How is it that we can stay focused on what someone's saying? And many times, like you might say, I was on this trip and they had a swimming pool. And I might think, oh, I remember I was at this place with the swimming pool. But I'm not saying it to you, but I could be thinking it and therefore not actively listening or listening at an elevated level. How can we get our mind so that we're completely and totally focused on the speaker?
hmm Yeah, and part of understanding the conversation is really relating it to our own selves, right? So if I say resort, then you get a picture in your brain, and that's fine, right? This is how we communicate with interpreting the word with how we understand it. But a lot of these things are the active listening skills, right? And it is not just thinking, how am I going to respond? What am I going to say? But really understanding what it is they're saying. Now, again, in the motivational listening, I say it's more active, because what we want to do is guide the conversation. So I'm going to ask you, how's your world? Now you're going to respond with something, right? You're going to tell me, so how's your world? And you say, well, I'm very busy with the shows that I'm producing. Okay, so that tells me something, but it tells me a result. My goal now is to understand, what's your motivation for this? And so if you meet somebody, you go to an event and you run into somebody and you say, oh, hi, how's your world? And they say, oh, it's fine, and this and that. And it's busy because I'm a tax accountant and taxes are, it's tax season. Well, they told you the result. They're an accountant, but that's not the reason they do it, right? Now we need to delve into that a little bit more, and as we start to understand, it might be because in accounting everything is in order, right? And they see the beauty in order, and that's why they chose to be an accountant. If like DIANN, she's an author and an educator, and it's when you're able to take these stories and have an emotional impact in your life. So if you ask DIANN, oh yeah, she's an author, that's a result. What's the motivation? Why did she choose to do that? That's what you want to get to. And as you're doing that, you are naturally going to be drawn into their life and not distracted by the things around you.
That's incredible. I was thinking as you were speaking, when I'm in the classroom, when I was a classroom instructor, and B, when I return to the classroom reading stories, and of course I'm very animated when I read my stories, but I'm also listening, but my brain, as the drama in me comes out, so I'll walk around the classroom, in the front, because it's my stage. And my eyes are also taking in who's listening, who's not, how I can engage. And then that'll make the story come more alive and come down and up, so that they're always with me. In the classroom as an instructor, I would tell the kids now, as we're learning things, sometimes your brain is going to naturally go away, but one snap means you better come back, and I'll never embarrass you because I did one snap. But you don't want 2 snaps from Miss DIANN, because 2 snaps means that's enough daydreaming, baby. You better come back and listen to me. So I was thinking that, but once I go and ask them a question and be engaged, then I like to think I'm an elevated listener then, because I'm making sure that they understand the concept that I'm trying to get across. I like to think that then maybe, so my question to both of you is, maybe you're a cross between a motivational at some point, and then the next moment you flip over and you're just totally engaged to what the student had to say. What do y'all think?
I'll start with Scott.
All right. Yeah. So it's so elevated listening. I want to learn more about this because I think that, well, I know we need to be better listeners in all cases, even listening to ourselves. I'll start there as we go out. But the I call it taking people on a conversational journey, right? And so you're asking these questions. Oh, you're an accountant. And how did you happen to choose that field? Now, here's an interesting thing that's going to happen. Almost invariably, when you ask somebody how they got to be doing what it is they do, invariably people are going to start off with this phrase, something similar to, it's a really interesting story. Because it was unintentional. In many cases, how they got to be an accountant was, oh, maybe it was their father was there or uncle or something. But in many cases, people got to be doing what they're doing through some roundabout journey. And now we can start breaking that down and we take them back and go, well, when did that start? And how did this come about? And again, it's reminding people of what did it take to become who you are today? And it's like I say, I call it taking them on a conversational journey. And we're going through their past to bring them up to the present.
I love that.
That's a great answer. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, it's an interesting and long story. If you had asked me that, that's what I would have said too.
How did you get to
Oh, we have another comment from Matt. Let's see. Matt writes, motivational listener reminds me of the story where someone talks to you and you don't say almost anything. Then they tell their friends how awesome you are.
Yes. You know, the first book that I wrote was called Motivational Listener. Be interesting by being interested, the subtitle. And it's all about how to be successful at business networking events. So it's the brain science of how we connect, and then the actual 6 steps that you can do to connect at events. Whether you're an introvert or extrovert, it works. And so, but that subtitle, be interesting by being interested, actually came about from an experience I had at a networking event. So there's like 150 people in this room, and I'm sitting at a table, and it turned out that I knew everybody at the table. And so open networking time came up, and I said, I didn't come here to talk to the people I know. I came to talk to the people I don't know. So I get up to walk across the room to a table that I see where I don't know anybody. And it's kind of crowded. So I come up and next to this lady, and just, she was talking to somebody. So I said, oh, excuse me, as I walk past. And she goes, I'll let you pass if you talk to me first. Right. So Ruth Graham was her name. And so I asked her, how's your world? And we started having this conversation. And in about 2 minutes, I found out that she owned a framing shop and that she also did painting restoration, cleaning and stuff, right? And I thought, well, I don't know anything about this, but I know that it's got to take some artistic skill to do that. So I asked her about that. And it turned out that all of this came about from the inspiration of her brother, who was an artist and sold pictures for tens of thousands of dollars, died when he was like 50 years old of lung cancer because he was a heavy smoker and all the solvents in the paint. 2 minutes, I find out all of this stuff about her. A friend of hers is walking by. She reaches out, literally grabs that person by the arm and pulls him in and says, you need to talk to this interesting man. Those were her words.
Wow.
She knew my name. I knew about her business. I know how she got into the business. And there's you probably talk about emotional intelligence, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not just the IQ, it's our EQ, right? How we can read the emotions of others and control our own emotions. As she was talking and she mentioned her brother, there's things that we call micro expressions, right? They happen for a fractional second. And sadness is one of those. And if you're paying attention and you're watching somebody, you will see these micro expressions of surprise, anger, happiness, and so forth, right? So as she mentioned her brother, that moment of sadness as a micro expression came across her face. That's the reason why I asked her more questions about her brother. We're going on a conversational journey. And so she had emotion, and we connect on those. When there's emotion that happens, that's when we connect. So it's not just about asking questions. It's about understanding what are the emotions that are going on. And she grabbed that person and said, "You have to talk to this interesting man."
Wow, I love that. And that's why you're so good at what you do.
Well, thank you.
Because people can very quickly feel safe in sharing with you.
Mhm.
And that really is a gift. We have another comment from Catherine. We love the interaction from the audience. Thank you. Be interesting by being interested. There's your quote. Totally making a meme for this after the event is over because I want to be motivationally listened. That's right, because you can't be doing two things at the same time if you want to be a motivational listener, right?
Right.
Perfect. Oh, Catherine, you're so good.
We also have Matt, mental note, don't play poker against.
I love that.
That's right. Matt's going to get those 4 aces, and I'm out.
I want to talk about your work as an author also. But first, one more question about listening, because it's something that we do well or we don't do, but we're doing it some way all the time. So my question is, this one drives me crazy. When you're sharing something with someone and they come up with a solution and you didn't ask for a solution, you were just sharing your story, and all of a sudden, oh, I know what you need. No, you don't know what I need. But they want to tell you and then basically interrupt what you're sharing. What are your thoughts about this, Scott?
Yeah, and it's not to gender type, but typically it's guys that just want to solve a problem. We want to jump right to the solution, and we need to learn that sometimes. And I've had this conversation with my wife. Sometimes she wants to just tell me stuff, and for me to go, well, that sucks. I mean, that's it, right? I don't, this is not like, well, what you need to do is this, right? That's not often what people need. We just need to know that somebody is listening to us and empathizing with us, but not trying to solve it, because that's not always what we need. And so choosing to just understand, maybe it's celebrating. It's like, that is wonderful, or that sucks.
You're absolutely right.
I think it's funny because I remember when I was in a relationship and I would give a story, and then the person would say, the guy would say, well, that sucks. And then I might say, oh, of course you think it sucks because you were never around to listen in the beginning, blah, blah, blah. It's like, hey, you can't win either way,
Yeah. And I tell you, it's human nature too. If we don't feel we can win, then we won't play, So,
that's true.
So that's what makes the lottery at whatever it is, 1 point whatever billion dollars or something, because we think we can win.
That's true. Yeah, it's very true. And I want to spotlight you again because you have your other book cover there, Freeze, in Action in the Face of a Business Crisis, How to React When the Unexpected Happens. Tell us about this book.
Yeah. So this was, again, this is part of the process of getting short form books out quickly and solve one problem for one customer and for one type of client. And that's what Freeze is. So I jointly wrote this with Veronica Jeans. She has a lot of business experience, like myself, have been through a number of crises. Now, the big things, of course, pandemic. We saw too many businesses close during the pandemic. Now we have inflation. There are supply chain issues. These are all big global issues that affect lots of businesses. But small crises also happen. And that could be, I've seen restaurants that just lost their lease. It wasn't because the landlord said, I'm going to raise the rent, and they said, I'm out of here. They just didn't get their lease renewed and there's nothing. Then they shut down. There's nothing that can be done. Many businesses lose key employees or a large customer. These are things that these are crises that happen. And again, going back into the brain science, our amygdala is responsible for fight, flight, or freeze. And so what we saw is too many business owners fall into the freeze when unexpected crises happen in their business. I mean, they can plan for certain things. If this or that happens, we know what to do. But when the pandemic came, which is just a major example, too busy businesses just froze. They didn't look for the opportunity within the threat. And within every threat, there's an opportunity. And so that's what we do in the book Freeze, is we go, look, let's map out your business plan in one page, because we can do that. Now you can actually see your business on these different areas. What's the value you provide? Who's your customer? What's your financial model? And what's the delivery model for your business? Okay, now let's list out, what are the threats to that? What could happen? Now, what are the opportunities? Because we started doing conferences online and for the university when they shut down. That was a huge opportunity. We lost some other things, but we were able to pick up something else. And so freeze, that is inaction, is the worst thing that you can do in your business when a crisis happens. And the reason we do it is because we don't want to make a wrong decision. So we do nothing, which is absolutely the wrong thing to do.
What a great book.
Yeah, lots to think about there. You know, it's interesting. I walk around this corporate center when I'm going to my workout. I get there 20 minutes early, and there's a lot of vacant spaces. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, this hair salon, you can see the hair jars, they went out of business. This eyeglass store, they went out of business. And then I saw somebody approaching the eyeglass store, and she was putting up a sign and they had moved to a new location. They got a bigger space. And it made me, my heart was just so full, but I had just imagined that every one of them was not taking action and had frozen, for example, and couldn't think of a way forward. And then when I saw the store owner and said, no, we had a plan during the pandemic, and we opened a bigger location.
So
it's
good.
like, makes
Fabulous.
so wonderful. So in your research that you did for this, when you speak to people, what do they say is the main reason that they don't have a plan? Is it fear? Is it thinking that nothing's ever going to go wrong?
Yeah. So in the book, there's a diagram that I created many years ago because working with small businesses, we have strategic, tactical, and operational. So strategic is all those long-term things. And then tactical is kind of the intermediate. And then the operational is the day-to-day. So we would say things like your business purpose, the mission, the vision that you have. Those are all the strategic things for the business. The projects and the tasks of the day, the fulfilling orders, answering the phone. These are all the tasks. So in the chart, we have it as a pyramid, and at the top you have the strategic, and down at the bottom you have the operational. So the base is huge because we spend the most of our time on the day-to-day operations and very little on the strategic. But then there's an inverted pyramid. Which is most important to your business? Because if I get any task wrong, if I miss a phone call, then it probably won't kill my business. But if I'm in the wrong strategy, if I have the wrong vision, mission, or purpose for my business, I've already lost. So the problem is that we get tied up in the day-to-day part of the business that we don't step back and look at the larger picture and say, but what do I really do? And so just to give you a very short-term specific example is our church is planning a big Easter egg hunt, right? And there'll be thousands of people there. Well, they're saying, well, we need, cotton candy, and we need food vendors, and we need these things, and a bouncy house. And we had to come down to say, but what is this about? This is about kids and their families getting Easter eggs. So if we don't have a bouncy house, will this event be a failure? No. If we don't have Easter eggs for the kids to hunt, will it be a failure? Yes. So what's our priority, right? So really looking again, what's the purpose is the place to start, and not get bound up in the day-to-day operational tasks.
I love what you're sharing there, because so many times as business owners, as we all are here, we are just heads down in the work, and we're not taking a step back to look at, okay, where are we going? How are we going to get there? Who's going to help us get there? And what's it going to look like when we get there?
Exactly. Exactly.
So a question I have for you, for all those people out there who own businesses, or maybe they're thinking of leaving corporate or starting a new business. When you first start out, I don't know if it's 3 years, I know I'm still in this realm that I'm going to describe, is I don't have the money to hire employees. I have contractors, 1099s, but as a business owner, how do we keep our eye on the strategy when we have all the tasks to do ourselves?
Yeah, it all comes down to, I will say, one of the most important things that you can do is do an audit on your calendar, right? Go back and look at whether you're using a digital calendar, using a paper calendar, however you track your time. Go back and look, right? What is it that you do? Because I talk about the 1440 club. That is, every day has 1,440 minutes. And as it turns out, there are no rollover minutes, right? I use every one of those 1440 minutes, but probably not optimally. And so we need to go back and look and say, all right, here are things that took time. Did they, in fact, move my business forward? And if not, then you go, well, I know what not to do next month. That's a starting point. If you work with like Dave Ramsey in Financial Peace University to manage your personal finances, one of the things they're going to have you do is go through your spending, go through your bank account. Where did the money go? And we're not saying it was good or bad. We're just saying this is where it went. So now you're aware. Let's do the same thing with your time, because whether you have a lot of money or no money, you only have 1,440 minutes every day. And that's it. You can't buy any more of those. So let's start with our time, the most precious resource that we have.
That's a great reminder. Thank you. Scott, a question I have for you, and then also for DIANN. When I was in corporate up until 2020, I sold events, employee recognition programs. And with the events, our planners would always have a disaster recovery plan, because ultimately something's going to happen. But yet as business owners, we don't have plan B, C, A minus, A, whatever it might be. So is this something that you would recommend for people?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why we really wanted to come out with Freeze, is that you need to have first disaster recovery. That's that immediate response when something happens. And it could be the power went out to your restaurant. So now what do? Right? Then business recovery is kind of that long-term plan. So let's say that restaurant loses its lease. What kinds of things can you do? Can you do a food cart? Can you find a different location? Can you do catering out of some other space? What are the types of things that you do? What is it? Maybe you've got special recipes. Maybe you could teach people. I mean, it's a departure, but it is a potential plan. But it's really understanding what are the opportunities that are buried within those threats, and you need to have some sort of a plan.
Yeah, words of wisdom out there for all of our business owners. And, even though we've come through this pandemic, we don't know what's next. And so as a business owner, instead of stressing out, not being able to sleep at night, when we have a plan, when we can call you, when we can read your book and we can say, hey, I want to hire you, I want to work with you, there's that sense of empowerment. Mm-hmm. And tell people how you work with them. What does that process look like?
The best way to say is that I'm that trusted advisor. I'm that person that you can go to to bounce ideas off. So I work well in those companies that have 20 or fewer employees and might be a solo entrepreneur, somebody that needs a generalist. So I have a broad background. And so high-tech, low-tech manufacturing, financial services, agriculture, products, services. I can help you. I'm not your marketing expert, but I can help you be an informed consumer about marketing, or human resources, about hiring and managing your employees, about your production operations, about the packaging for the types of services that you offer. And so if you're a business owner, sometimes you just need to bounce some ideas off somebody, and it can't be your employees. That doesn't work. And so you need a trusted advisor. And so that's where I come in.
I love that. But I also want to jump in here real quick and say everything that you were also sharing makes me think of the calendar, because the calendar that you've created really helps you focus on your goals. And I also loved how you had the section, did you achieve? Mark what you did. Could you share a little bit how that calendar really helps you achieve your goals and strategy for the day and the year?
Yeah, like many people, I rely on my digital calendar. That's been the transition that I made. I went away from paper calendars, which I had used for years, but they let me down. One day, Google Calendar let me down. I didn't get the reminder, didn't show up on my phone. The phone rings, and it's like, "Hey, Scott, this is Dr. Jacalyn. I thought we were on the show today." And I'm like, I cannot afford to miss appointments. And so I said, I need to go back to paper. So I was 10 years with Franklin Planner. I used time systems. I used day runners. I did the ones where you buy a moleskin and you draw it out yourself. But nothing helped me track goals. So we started with a page that says, what are your dreams? Because like writing a book is too big to be a goal. It's a dream. But let's break it down. What are let's start with writing a book and then say, why is it important to you? Then break it down. What are the steps that you need to do to write a book? Now let's break those down into the goals. And James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits, the one phrase that I really remember and resonates so deeply says, we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. And so you need to, if you want to write a book and you set goals, that's great. But now we need to look at our habits, and there are habits that help us and there are habits that hold us back. And so on that page, we list these things out. Because if you say, I'm going to write for 30 minutes every morning, I'm going to get up and I'm going to write for 30 minutes. But your habit is to sleep until the last possible moment and rush into your day. So you're either going to have to change that habit, or more likely change your goal to say, you know what, I'm going to write at lunchtime, or I'm going to write in the evening or something, right? And so once you've done that, then now on our calendar, you can have the regular agenda on your calendar. And again, this goes back to that whole 1440. The things that I do need to be tied to goals. And that's where we put it on this goal tracking. And you can see it better here on this page. And so every day has a tracker like this. So if there's something on my agenda, then I put it into one of the 4 quadrants. So I would say, record with Dr. Jacalyn. And it's one thing, or exercise. And it's one thing to put it on your calendar, but it's another thing to actually do it. So if I actually exercise, I get to color in this little circle part right here, which gives me completion. It says that I actually did what I said I was going to do, and it allows the dopamine to fire off. So now I put my agenda, I say here, and did I actually do it? And if I do, I get to color it in. And the center spot is our spiritual side, because everybody has some spiritual thing. Reading, praying, meditating, walking the dog. There's something that centers you. If you do that, then you get to color in the center circle. And again, it fires the dopamine off. It says, I had a completion. I want to do that again. It gives us a tangible reinforcement. I can look back across my week. Are the things that are on my agenda, are they moving me forward in my life and in my business? If so, put them over there. I could put it on the calendar, but did I actually do it? If so, color in that box. And so the independent planner is what I call it. And they're handmade by Trevor Lorkings over in England. And they're beautifully done. And I say it's the paper planner designed for entrepreneurs by an entrepreneur.
I love that. Can I tell you, when you said color it in, I was thinking, yes, gold star, color it in. I was super excited about that.
Yes, I learned that from people like DIANN, the teacher. Give me a reward. I want the gold star. I want the smiley face.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the month, and you go back and you have the reflection section, you just are so proud. And it also, the things that you don't do, it gave me time to go, okay, why didn't I? And what can I do differently to make sure I achieve them? And I really appreciated your calendar. So
thank you.
I think it really helps.
Yeah,
and with people reading the book Freeze and wanting to do more in their own work, I think it enriches.
Yeah. So Freeze is at stopinaction.com. And so people can go and find out about that there. And there's also a course to apply the concepts of the book to your business. And the planner is independent-planner.com. And people can find those there. But it really does come down to, again, how do I optimize the time that I have every day? Because here's a statistic. The average person in America watches 5 hours of video every day. It used to be television, but now it's a combination between television and streaming services. Now, if they're spending 5 hours a day watching Dr. Jacalyn, that is a good thing for their life.
Yay!
Right? But if they're just watching TikTok videos, then probably they're sub-optimizing their time. And you could say, what a travesty. People are spending 5 hours a day watching television. But the way I look at it is, on the average, people have 5 hours of discretionary time every day. They just don't know what to do with it. So write a book, or start a business, or watch Dr. Jacalyn.
Plant some tomatoes.
Thank you.
Do something productive with your life.
Yeah, get out of your comfort zone. We do have a number of comments. I'm not sure where to start. Let's see, after the poker comment. Okay. Catherine, small storms can help you develop the roots to be flexible in the hurricane. Keep stretching. I like that. Matt, I had so many business owners in March 2020 tell me we're going to wait it out. Most of those didn't make it.
That's sad.
That is very sad. Catherine, if you haven't set a mission and vision for your business, then you won't ever find your win.
Yeah, it was I believe it's in Alice in Wonderland, when Alice goes to the caterpillar and asks for directions and which way should I go? And the caterpillar asks, where do you want to go? And she says, well, I don't know. And she says, well, it doesn't really matter which way you go, because as long as you go long enough, you're sure enough to end up somewhere.
End up somewhere.
Matt, people tend to prioritize what is urgent over what is important.
That's a good thought.
Yeah. All right, Catherine, now writing to Matt. I like this. I love when people start. Beautiful. Stop and ask, is it urgent or is it important? Filed from Catherine. Time is the only resource you can't make more of. Yes.
That's true.
Matt, Scott is right. Obviously, Matt, come on. Know what not to do is just as important as what you should be doing. And also, yeah, it's tough to talk about staffing problems with your staff.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matt, again, that's so true. You don't lay in bed and decide to get up to write. You get a coffee, sit down at the laptop, open the doc, and then you decide if you're going to write or not.
Yeah. And Matt's been writing, and he writes a number of books. And he's got another one that he's working on right now. And he goes to the coffee shop and just writes. So it's no distractions from the house. So I don't know, Diane, how you do your writing, but it's nice to have a routine or a ritual, right? Something that says, this is what I'm doing now.
Yeah, we'll have to have Matt on the show. Matt, you're invited. Okay, Catherine, I have stickers and colored pens I use on my planner. There you go, coloring things in. And Matt, they are watching Peertainment. Lol.
Yeah, that's all the dancing. That's all the dancing videos, right?
Okay.
Well, we've actually come to the end of our show, and I had to check and make sure we didn't have a show after this, so we're good. But I've really enjoyed this, and I really appreciate what you shared today. I think something else that we really alluded to, but we didn't say specifically, is as a motivational listener or an elevated listener, we can't be doing that all the time because we have a life. We have things we have to do. So it's also, I think, about setting boundaries and then asking someone, hey, is this a good time for me to dump my whole life story on you? How many times do we just either pick up the phone and you go right into it, and the person's like, yeah, I'm having an operation at the moment. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts about that, Scott?
Oh, it's just be kind to people, be polite. There was a mentor that I had when I first graduated from college, the first job that I was in. And he was talking about office politics. And he said, Scott, if you just remember, if you think of the word polite as being the root of politics, he said, your career will be fine. Just be polite to people.
I like that.
Yeah, very true. Very true. You shared so much today that is really a good reminder, as well as new insights for us all to consider. So I thank you for that. We do have your banner up for people who are listening and they can't read it, or they're on a podcast platform. What is the best way to contact you, and who would you like to reach out to?
Yeah. So dscottsmith.com, and that's got all the links there for LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. However people want to contact me, I always say, however my customers want to talk with me, that's how we talk. So Facebook Messenger, LinkedIn, text message, WhatsApp, you tell me, we'll make it work. So dscottsmith.com. And so again, I work with, my heart is with the solo entrepreneurs, freelance professionals, small businesses, up to about 20 employees. So that fits up to, depending on the business, up to $2 to $5 million. Those are the places that I work best.
Thank you so much. And I hope you'll come back and join us on our business show. I think you'd be great with Mr. Alcini, right, Diane?
Oh, absolutely. I was thinking the same thing. And I also want you to come back and talk about that one special word that you have for this year, too.
Yeah.
There's a teaser for our listeners.
Yes. We will talk about singularity.
Singularity.
I won't explain it. I won't let them come back.
We're throwing out the fishing rod, or the line, and reel you in for the next time.
And come back in and talk about Amazon Live that you do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That'd be great.
There's a lot of interest in that as well. And it's sort of like, it's mysterious. And how do you find it? How do you get on there? So I'd love to have you talk about that as well.
I will say that I got involved because of my friend Jim Fuse, and he was talking about, everyone's talking about LinkedIn Live and Facebook Live and all these things, right? And this is like, oh, that's great. And he mentioned Amazon Live. And I said, Jim, I need to learn more about this because this sounds much more exotic than anything else.
It really does. It does. So please do come back. I think we have about 5 more shows with you at least, just starting out.
I tell you, what an honor and a privilege to spend time with you. I'm a big fan. I just love what you do. It's so diverse, and we just have so many remarkable. There are 8 billion people in the world. In November, we passed 8 billion.
Wow.
So there's so many folks to get to know out there.
That's right.
And that's what's the important part.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thanks to everyone watching and engaging. We do have a couple more comments. Matt, sounds good. I'd love to be on the show. Beautiful. Thanks, everyone. Good show today. Great job, Scott.
Yes, great job, Scott. Thank you so much for being on the show.
And
My
Catherine
pleasure.
Rick's gym is great.
Yep. These are all, there's so many great people. And Diann, of course, we've had some great conversations. I love just hanging out with you in your reading room. And Dr. Jacalyn, what a pleasure to meet you and spend time with you. And I look forward to just more conversations, because that's what life is.
As do I. Thank you very much. And I'd like to just encourage our audience to get uncomfortable, do something that you haven't done before, you thought about doing. We can all stay in the same place and do the same thing over and over again, but you're never going to know what's out there and who you can meet. I mean, this amazing conversation today. We have another comment from Christine A. Smith, Giropreneur. I enjoyed my husband every moment. Thank you, Diann and Jacalyn.
Okay.
I have little tears in my eyes.
So let me do the right thing, because motivational listener is a phrase that I stole from my wife. Because somebody asked her one day, Christine, what do you do? And she very accurately said, I'm a motivational listener. I said, Christine, I love that. And I will always give you full credit like I'm doing now, because I am a good husband, but I am stealing that. And that was 2016.
Wow.
And that's why you're still together.
Thank you, Christine. I look forward to interviewing you as well on our show, Aging Gracefully.
That'd be great.
Okay.
What a great show today.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
It's lovely having you here. And Diann, thank you to you. I appreciate it. And of course, for people who might not be able to see it, these are some of Diann's books that are here on our background today. And mine's the one on the bottom right there. So, and if I can find a bookshelf where I can put all your books, Diann, where they can all go like this instead of sideways over here.
You're so sweet.
And yours, Scott, as well. I'll keep looking at different graphics. So,
thanks.
All right. Thank you again, Scott. Thank you, Diann.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Bye. And thank you to all of you out there who are watching. In case you are new to our channel, we have about 25 live shows each week, and we have all different topics. We have a team of about 41 people right now. They're all over the world. So we are truly grateful. We are celebrating our 1-year anniversary on Sunday. Let me pull up the graphic for that. So we'd love to have you join us. It's Sunday from 11 in the morning Eastern time. We'll be live streaming for 5 hours. That's right. Yours truly will be producing and hosting for 5 hours. And I'll be sharing the screen with Mr. Al Cini and a number of our guests who will have 15 minutes to promote their work. And we will also have live music from DJ Big Scott over there in London. And then one other announcement that I have, which is something that I'm super excited about. If you're not aware of our Elevated Listening program, we do have a team of elevated listeners. Diann is one of them, and they've taken my course, The Power of Listening. And The Power of Listening is a course that is online. You can take it on demand at any time you like. I've lowered the price to $39 to make it as available to as many people as possible. It's a 2-hour course. You can take it at your leisure. You get a certificate of completion, and that certificate and your headshot goes onto our website, drjacalyn.com, and also on usaglobaltv.com. We feature your headshot. So my last announcement is that once you become an elevated listener, you have unique opportunities. You see these book covers. The animals on the book covers represent real people who have taken the power of listening. And together, we teach children and their families how to listen at an elevated level. The lovely Diann Floyd BOEHM is the gazelle on the left-hand side in The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor. And her name is Zell, the gazelle. So this book is available, came out last month. It became an Amazon #1 new release the same day. The second book on the right is coming out on Saturday. Lady Ella's ABCs of Listening. And of course, all the animals you see there are also real people who've taken the power of listening. And in addition to that, we are launching a new single called Listening Lazies, and we'll be sharing the video for that. So children will actually be able to see in the book the sheet music. We have the sheet music for the song Listening Lazies, and there's also a poem in the book called Listening Lazy. So I'm super excited. We have a television launch party show on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So please do join us for that. They're all the announcements I have for now. The film and music show is on hiatus for today. We'll be back with The Wise Ones at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Thank you again. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Diane. Thanks to all of you who engaged with us today. We'll see you again soon. Bye.